Hi everyone and welcome to another video. So I watched The Last Watch today, the documentary on the production of Season 8 of Game of Thrones. It reminded me that whatever you think of Season 8 of Game of Thrones, you need to remember that people sacrificed a lot to bring it to our screens. And it also inspired me to realise that I have a view on that too. Before we get into that, if you're interested in more videos on escaping the banality of life through stories and travel, then please don't hesitate to like this video, comment and subscribe. I want to make something clear first. I think Season 8, up to and including The Long Night, basically the first 3 episodes, are some of the best episodes of Game of Thrones that have aired. At this point, it is a show telling a focused story, largely in the North, and delivering in what I think are emotional, intimate and impactful ways as they prepare to face the army of the dead. It was enthralling stuff. As for The Long Night itself, it is quite simply one of the best pieces of TV ever to hit our now not so small screens. It was an assault on the senses, or at least it was once I'd figured out something called dynamic range on my TV. A story told visually and orally with music to die for as the inevitable loss against the army of the dead played out. Because make no mistake, they were always going to lose against the army of the dead, which is why they had the Hail Mary pass of assassinating the Night King. It was absolutely beautiful. I even liked the way it was Arya who took the Night King out, because the Night King had played a pretty solid game. Dany and Jon had their shot, but couldn't do it. Since their plan was always to assassinate the Night King, you could say in retrospect, it was pretty damn weird that they sidelined the one character who was an elite assassin. Arya was the piece that the Night King had less chance of countering. He knew about Bran, Jon, Dany and the dragons. You could say he planned for them, but he wouldn't see Arya coming. I get that people keep hoping Jon would do something epically heroic, like beating the Night King in single combat, but that's not really Jon's preternatural power, because he's never done that. Jon's power is bringing people together that have no real right to actually be friends. In fact, they're really enemies. The battle at Winterfell could happen because of Jon, but someone else, if you look at the history of the show, was probably always going to take out the Night King. After The Long Night, well, talk about dashing an audience's hopes. And this is someone who's pretty flexible when it comes to fast-paced storytelling, whether it's TV, films, or even the tabletop role-playing games I play in. So if I feel that we got shortchanged and cheated, there is a problem.
Be with me. Build the new world with me. This is our reason. It has been from the beginning, since you were a little boy with a bastard's name, and I was a little girl who couldn't count to 20. We do it together. We break the wheel together.
You are my queen. Now and always.
That's the story I wanted. We didn't get that story though. We were told that was the story in place of actually seeing it. The disappointing thing about Game of Thrones isn't what most people say it is, or at least not in the videos I've seen. It's not that Jon didn't get to wave some sort of flaming sword around in glorious action scenes. It's not that Dany went mad, because in a way she didn't really go mad. She just chose to rule by fear out of being given no other choice, and then to justify it with dynastic altruism, which history would interpret as mad. It's not even that Bran became king. This is not a video about me saying how the dice should have fallen differently at the end. The single and only problem with Game of Thrones wasn't where each of the characters landed by the end, it's the fact there wasn't a season or so telling the story of the Battle of the Iron Throne post defeating the dead. They didn't just tell the story too fast, they jumped to it through a series of warp gates, Because make no mistake, by the point of the long night, we were in the final third of the story, or the final 4/5 of the story. We certainly weren't a hop, skip and a jump and 2 or 3 episodes away from the end. Imagine what it would have been like if there had been that final third or 4/5 worth of seasons to play out. We could have had a resurgent Cersei, really punishing Jon and Daenerys' forces for making their heroic stand against the dead. That was the plan, right? That was Cersei's play. Really pushing Daenerys to the edge of insanity for making her altruistic choice. Yeah, they'd have had to find a way to deal with the instant win aspect of the dragons, but I'm pretty sure someone could have found a way of depleting their strength, because one of them died immediately afterwards anyway, or taken them out of action for a long enough period for Cersei to really pile on the pressure. We could have saw Jaime actually realise why he chose Cersei over Brienne. That's one of those choices where all the bits are there, but just needed longer to play out, rather than it feeling like some sort of one-night stand sort of affair, and his choice just feeling hollow, flat and forced. Possibly, I don't think the writers really knew what to do with Bran. We could have been given more time with Bran to explore the issue of whether can he see into the future, and then does he make plays to engineer what is seen to make them come about? To what degree is he actually an altruistic soul or a bystander, but maybe an engineer of the future? All of that would have been fascinating, rather than him just being a meme-bound, a wheelchair meme that just seemed damn strange when everyone accepted his position as king. And as shown in the clip, we could have also got Jon and Daenerys' relationship told properly as it faced ever-mounting pressure as Daenerys realised she was never going to get to be that foreign ruler, cast aside to various degrees after essentially saving the world. Realising her only option to hold on to the throne and achieve her dream was to rule through fear as enemies that were once friends tried to thwart her campaign. Possibly over that time where Cersei was resurgent. We'd have got the story about the little boy with a bastard's name and the girl who couldn't count to 20 and how their relationship would save or destroy the world. Well, or the 7 kingdoms. You know what I mean. As by this point, that was the story that was left to play out, and we were completely cheated from it. The final third of those 2 characters' stories was essentially skipped. It really is a pity when they ran out of time and told it in snapshots. The final episode is it's visually beautiful, right, in a number of places. The whole burn the ground and any future ground the writers should land on approach that is forming on the internet is just plain crazy. People pushing consciously or unconsciously for it to poison any future Game of Thrones shows or any Star Wars films the writers touch is just toxic and insane. Because in a way, once the choice was made, however it came about, to tell the story in that brief a time, they didn't actually do that bad a job. The mistake, was cutting it short. Since I'm capable of something many people have forgotten, it's called perspective, it's just really disappointing. It's that disappointing having seen it, I don't feel the need to watch anything past The Long Night again. Should I ever watch Game of Thrones again? Which I'm not sure I will. It doesn't seem like that type of show. I tell you what I have done though, I've watched The Long Night a ridiculous amount of times. And in my view, despite the disappointment with half of season 8, because it gave us The Long Night as a singular piece of TV, the whole thing was worthwhile. Like, comment, subscribe, let's escape together.